What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be, well, in this video we're gonna do multiple things. One, we're gonna tinker with that car a little bit, not mechanically with that car, but I got something I want to try on that car. Secondly, I want to work on my brother's car and get it kind of back up on the ground and park back over there so we can move on to the next thing, which is working on my KRX. Did some testing a couple of days ago and we're not looking too good with that car, but I want to bring it back up here on the driveway so we can show you guys what we're going to do with it and what's going to follow after. I'm going to work on my red car first, and that is going to be the climate control for the Honda Accord conversion. I've been slacking for my buddy CJ, and he sent me this harness, this conversion harness for the Honda Accord climate control to try out to make sure it's good and dandy before he puts it up on his website. Now, I know he's probably already started his own testing and the harness is going to be on the website real soon, but I want to at least try it for myself to make sure that it's good and dandy and report back to him. So I have the harness there, and I believe, which one is this? This is my modified Honda Accord unit, because the tabs here are already done up and the holes back here is ready for the mixer. So I'm going to go ahead and start tearing apart my red CRX so we can test fit. So this car already has a broken CRX climate control, and it has a plate on it which was already on the car when I bought this in 2015, and it's been working. I mean, it doesn't really give me any issues, but if this harness works out, I might even just leave the Honda Accord unit in it. I'm gonna go ahead and take off the radio DIN too, just to clear up some space. I can't really move it out of the way because the gauges and the stereo is still here. Oh wow. Kind of don't want to take this apart, only because This is JB welded to the body. CJSWIRING 8891 USDM CRX to 909300 core climate control conversion. And I pretty much just, I took off the 2 screws, and then the mixer kind of just came off the body of the control unit, and it wasn't really like JB welded on. It was more like resting on it. So the cables are still kind of intact in place. It's very common for that to break as well too when you mishandle it. I don't hear it working. Let me see. This is for the foot. It's still here. This hasn't changed. Obviously I don't feel anything down there. Okay, well, that's kind of weird. I'm gonna check the wiring and then I'm gonna report back to CJ. Okay, so weird thing is I put my CRX unit back in. 1 and 2 doesn't work, but 3 and 4 does, right? The light does work on mine, but none of the other button seems to be working like it should. So I'm gonna put it on 3. You don't hear the flap change. Right now it's on vent here, but when I put it to foot, it's still here. It's not switching over at all. I feel it down here, so I'm not entirely sure why, but it's on foot only and it's still coming up from the center vent, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. This light's not working either. Or, yeah, it's not working either. Okay, so I kind of just left everything in the CRX. I texted CJ and let him know what the situation is, and he's actually going to test the same harness in his car later this week. But as far as right now goes, I'm going to go ahead and just work on my brother's car real quick. It's not really much to do. In the previous video you guys saw, I did the clutch, I did the steering rack, the rack and pinion. All of that's brand new, and I just came back from the store earlier today to grab some Valvoline synchro mesh, and I also picked up no, that's it. That's all I picked up. Anyways, but I'm gonna go ahead and just fill it up. The motor mount, I'm not too worried about it. I might make it tonight. Is this piece right here. This was a motor mount that I cut, added some tabs on, and pretty much made it for the front mount to keep the engine from rocking backward. I believe these are the 88A inserts. Might be 60. No, I think these are 88. I ordered them stiff because the all-wheel drive car, supercharged, I knew this thing was gonna rock. So I made this one right here because my brother was saying that the engine rocked enough that it was kind of hitting the hood right here. I don't know if you guys can see that. And that was this right here. So with that front mount, it kind of helps it from rocking back too much without having to do an actual mid plate. So probably gonna do this in a moment, but let's go ahead and just fill up his transmission real quick. This sensor is from a EF single cam transmission, and it fits perfectly into the transmission of the CRV, the 0204 RSX EP3s, any of the K series that has the mounting speed sensor in the rear. And there's really no tabs to hold it down. You pretty much just kind of wiggle it in until it sits flush on the body, and that's pretty much it. Nice and flush. It also still uses the single cam speed sensor cable, which goes through the firewall right there. and that allows you to go K-swap with your stock cluster. So I cut the leg off the motor mount, and that's right here. The engine has moved backwards to get better axle angle. With the engine tilting backward, it placed the motor mount like all the way right here. So I cut the leg off to put the mount all the way in, and then pretty much build new mounts off the motor mount to the engine, which I'm going to retain using the same bolt holes. This 17 there, then that one right here, which I have the bolts sitting right here in the support. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in place. So right now I'm using cardboard to get a point of reference for the bolt holes. Now I can bend one of the legs to give the offset of one of the mounts, because if you look, they're not in the same level, right? So again, point of reference, I might just use washers in the back rather than bending, but right now I'm just making these two legs because I don't know where this is gonna land on the mount to the traction bar. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this section out, and then I'm gonna leave this whole back half just so I can draw like whatever like section I need for this to meet the motor mount. God, that was so hard to say. Well then, I was cutting out the new legs for the motor mount, and my vertical bandsaw belt got caught and snapped. So tomorrow I'm gonna have to go buy a new belt, and we'll continue making this bottom mount. I've kind of just been at it. Drove around looking for some stuff, got my bandsaw fixed with a new blade, and I just finished welding the front motor mount. So this is, I mean, I kind of manipulated it a little bit. Let me show you guys the previous one. You can see the previous one, I had a whole bunch of different tabs welded on just to get to the angle and direction I needed to go. This one is one piece, right? But I manipulated it by kind of slicing some of the angles and then bending it and then welding it shut. So you can see there's a few bends there, and I got it to pretty much touch up against the motor mount, and then I welded that on. Now this was a little tricky because it has the bushing in it, so every time I would weld, it will melt and catch on fire. Got to put it out, cool it down, clean it off, weld it again. But nonetheless, the whole entire perimeter of this flange is welded to this mount. I painted it black and is ready to mount into the car. And there you have it, 2 mounting points for the front motor mount, innovative traction bar with the innovative front mount bracket, and then the front mount was actually cut to modify the legs. So we have a front mount for the K series to help from torquing backward. And now I'm gonna go ahead and put the bumper back on, get the battery in the car, fire this thing over, and move it back to where I got it from. On the grass, if you guys never noticed it. You know, honestly, I kind of like the wheel gap fitment. The tire is kind of small, but I'm sure if I have my 225s 50s on here, it'll kind of close up the gap a little bit. Now my brother spoke to me just an hour ago or so, kind of just ran him through everything that I did here with the car and what he needs to do, what he needs to get. He wanted to rock 16s on this car just to cover up the wheel gap a little bit. 16s will lift the car up just a smidge, and then you could just lower it back down to kind of compensate, you know what I mean, the amount that it went up, and make it look lower while actually not being lower. He was gonna put, his car's not here, but he was gonna put the gold wheels on here, but after seeing this ride height and the circumstance of the oil pan, he probably is gonna go 16s, but it's a matter of pick and choosing the right wheel that would look and fit this car really well. But for the time being, it's gonna be on these right here. And I mean, like I said, I kind of like the way it is, function over form. So right now I'm gonna go ahead and toss in my battery that I warranted for my red car so I could move this thing. And the thing is, the steering rack was just kind of tossed in here. I didn't really align the steering column, so maybe kind of running out of daylight, because I need to do some testing on that car, because I want to show you guys what's going on with the KRX. But I may pull the hub out, drive the car around, get it as straight as possible, and then stick it back on. So right now I'm just gonna throw the battery on, fire this motorcycle over, and get the ball rolling here, right? Oh my god, this car has 1000cc South Bay injectors, and they've been sitting for 5 years. I bought these brand new from BRFITTINGS, and currently what the car is doing is it's not firing on its own until I put brake cleaner in there. Fire it up, it'll run, drive, idle, do all the stuff that it's supposed to do, but it wouldn't fire on its own on the initial start. So I'm gonna have to do that real quick. A whole bunch of things just happened right now. I pulled the car out, the clutch doesn't feel like the pressure is there, so I got to re-bleed the a lot of things just happened right now, guys. I pulled the car off the driveway and the clutch grabs really low. His pedal does feel a little crooked. I'm not entirely sure if his pedal is broken, but you really got to go down to the floor in order to get it into gear. It wasn't like that before, so I got to check all of the clutch line system. The other thing happened was the car died on me, and like I mentioned earlier, the car wouldn't turn on its own without brake cleaner. So the freaking hood latch cable came off and I couldn't pop the damn hood. The car died over there on the driveway, and I was able to put the brake cleaner tube through here into the intake, turn it on, move it here. I jacked up the car, reached my hand underneath, popped the hood, fixed the T-bar and hood latch, and then I noticed that when I was backing it up, the car was kind of chirping with the tires, and it turns out that the toe was really bad. So right now I got 2 jack stands. I do have a fish string on here, and I have it all the way to the front, super duper pointed outward, and I just adjusted the driver's side. You can see it's not like really popping out anymore, right? But look at the passenger side. See how it's kind of pointing outward? So I just finished this side. I got to do the other one. I'm still going to pull the KRX onto the driveway and work on that a little bit before I wrap it up for today. All right, guys, so I ran into even more dilemma with my brother's wagon. So the clutch was having a hard time going in, and I went underneath the car to adjust the clevis, the rod for the clutch master, because I felt like it wasn't applying enough pressure. But if I went all the way down to the floorboard, I can get it into gear. So I was adjusting it and it completely came off the clevis. And granted, because it's underneath the dashboard, I wasn't really going to sit underneath there to try to take it all apart and connect it back together. So the car is stuck here in the driveway. I'm going to tackle it tomorrow. Because the car is here in the driveway, that means the KRX didn't really move over here. And what I really wanted to do with the KRX was just to do a compression test and a leak down test on camera. I did it off camera about 5 days ago. The reading across the board from 1 to 4 was like 185, 183, 185, 185, right? But I did a leak down test. Wasn't entirely sure if I did it correctly. I've always done it the same way that I've always with the leak down tester, and TDC cylinder 1, 3, 4, 2 with the valve cover off to make sure the lobes were not on the valves. And I did a leak down test. For some reason, all 4 was reading 100% leakage, but I do not know where it is going. It is not coming out of the oil cap. It's not coming out of the dipstick. It's not coming out of the intake. It's not coming out of the exhaust. It's also not coming out of the coolant bleeder, because I had the coolant cup on there. My issue with the KRX, after I had fixed the alternator issue and all that, the issue was when I was bleeding the coolant the first time after swapping the water pump housing, it started like erupting like a volcano out of the bleeder after about 30 minutes on the jack stand idling. Talked to my tuner. He said it's probably just a giant air bubble. So I went back and rebled it again, and then I noticed that the temperature was steady at like 175-ish, and then I decided to take it for a drive. While sitting at the stoplight, the car was getting up to like 200, just sitting there on an 80-degree day, which was not normal because I drove the car all the time and I know where the temperature sits wherever it is that I'm at, and this was not normal. So when I start driving, the temperature would drop down to like 175, 180. It's only when I sit is when it climbs. So I was like, all right, well, just maybe bleed the cooling system again and see what it does. So I did all of that and I reported back to Nomis, asked him, hey, what's the scenario, like what's really going on with my car? I'm not entirely sure. He said that it's potential like premature head gasket issue, and it just didn't make any sense to me. But after looking back at it a couple of times, and actually this past weekend I was trying to go to a meet, as soon as I got into the freeway, temperature started climbing, and then I was like, man, temperature climbing that fast, higher RPM, higher speed, I think is a head gasket as well. So I just really wanted to do a test on camera with the KRX to show you guys. Wanted to do a leak down test again. I wasn't entirely sure if I was a compression stroke or I believe it's like exhaust stroke or something like that, that it was leaking so much. But I don't know. The KRX has been sitting there since I put it back together, and I think I'm just going to order a K24 head gasket, just do the damn thing and just knock it out of the way. But that's what's going on with the car. There's not much more for me to do today or tonight in this video, but before I close this video out, I do want to open up a couple of things with you guys. That sounded kind of weird. With you guys. I went to the PO box, got this letter right here, got a box from MAXPEEDINGROD. This is not a package. I've actually had this sitting around for a couple of years now. I figured with this combination, I just want to keep you guys entertained with a couple of things coming here soon to the channel. Let's open up these packages. I really got to warranty out this GoPro so we can get rid of this right here. First, this came from Paul out of Arizona. So this looks to just be a letter. Paul definitely took his time to make this letter. My name is Paul. I live in Chino Valley, Arizona, and I just started watching your channel and I have a problem. Maybe you can help me. I have a 1990 Honda Civic hatchback with a 1.5 liter and a 4-speed transmission. That would be a STD model, like the lowest of the lowest model, but nonetheless EF hatchback, and someone stole my ECU. I'm totally lost. How to replace it? Question mark. The local parts store need the ECU numbers to replace it. With your vast knowledge of Hondas, can you recommend a replacement? Or if you have one, I'll be more than happy to pay for it. I'll pay postage both ways. Attached is my information. Now, I'm almost certain that the 1.5 liter is the same as like all the DXs and LXs and stuff, except it just came with a 4-speed tranny. So to answer your question, I have one right here. Well, this is not 2 because ECU plugs are gone. OBD 1, OBD 2, OBD 2. What is this? 91 LS automatic. So I guess I have one right here, or this is a PM6. Okay, well this is a PM5, except there's no ECU plugs. I believe the PM6 is the SI, which you cannot use in your car. So I believe that makes me not have an ECU for you. If any of you guys watching right now have an ECU for an 88 to 91 EF 1.5 liter dual point, leave it in the comments below. And Paul, if you're watching, check the comment section, see if somebody has one. You guys can get in contact and hopefully you find yourself an ECU. I'm switching the camera on top of my brother's hood here just so you guys can get some better lighting. So in this box right here, this is just a brake cleaner box. I've had this sitting on the shelf for a couple of years now. So in this package right here, I have Nippon Racing PR3 B16A piston, standard spec 81 mil bore. So these pistons are free floating and they are PR3 spec, so they have a little dome to it, right? And I've had this sitting around for a very long time because I wanted to do an all motor build. You guys probably heard I've mentioned it a couple of times now. I just at the time didn't do it because I wasn't confident enough, but you guys have seen now I've done a couple of engine builds and I'm pretty confident now to do another build, but all motor, because PR3 spec pistons. And I have the rings for it here as well too, circlip here as well, and we'll talk about this in just a second. At the very bottom of this box I have another set of Nippon pistons. These are B18C5 Type R spec, also 0.5 over, brand new in the box, Type R spec pistons. You guys can see it here, and these are also free floating. Got the wrist pins right here, got the rings right here as well too. And in order for me to use this piston, I would have to bore the block over 0.5 to use it. But as far as what to expect here soon on the channel, we're not going to be using this piston, just, you know, keeping it budget wise and saving some money here and there. And because we already have an 81 mil spec piston, we're just going to use these. So that's where this package comes in. So this is a package from MAXPEEDINGROD. Big shout out to Macy as always. Thank you for the continued support and helping us here on the channel with parts. I special request these because I didn't really see it on their website. And big shout out again Macy for making this all happen, because she got these available on the site really quickly and pretty much drop shipped these to me. And this is definitely going to help for what I am trying to do here soon. The package here has their pamphlet, the logo sticker, and, you know, nicely organized here in the package. We got a pretty nice high quality foam, but most importantly inside this box we have LSB20 MAXPEEDINGROD rods. MAXPEEDINGROD rods. I'm gonna go ahead and open up one of these for you guys right now. They weren't available before for LS and B20s, but they are most definitely available now. So if you guys are looking for some nice quality rods, be sure to check the link in the description below. Use discount code YSTATIC. Cop yourself some rods and save some money. So MAXPEEDING rods right here, comes with ARP 2000 bolts as well. And I'm not going to go like fully in depth with these just yet, because I want to save this whole entire process for when I do the all motor build. And we're going to be using these MAXPEEDING rods mated up with these PR3 free floating pistons, and we're going to do an all motor build, all motor B series build, LS VTEC in particular. So if you guys want to stick around and see that, you guys already know what to do. Like I told you guys before, there's a reason behind everything, and I knew I was gonna do all of this, which was the reason why I went to the junkyard and caught me an LS motor. I didn't care about the rotating assembly because I was gonna tear it apart anyways and rebuild it with piston and rods, right? The B20 is just a spare engine, but the LS was specifically for that. I have a GSR motor right there that came out of my all-wheel drive CRX, built block, built head. I'm gonna take that head, put it on here, make an LS VTEC setup, PR3 pistons. I do have block HSL cams in that box up there. Again, guys, all motor built. I'm trying to make some decent number, and I am looking for a specific shell to put this motor in. But we'll talk more about that when we get to it. So I am gonna wrap up the video right here. I don't wanna talk you guys up a storm, but expect this to come here soon on the channel. As soon as I get all the parts in, it's gonna happen. But if you guys enjoy some progress update on my red CRX and my brother's car, be sure to hit the like button. And if you guys wanna stick around for some fun stuff to happen here soon, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you, Macy, once again. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.